Well, we were only down 2,000 points today, so that's a start. The second time this week, second time that a circuit halt has happened across the entire market. Literally stopped trading. Earlier in the week, it was the first time that it's happened in 20 years, and now we've done it two times in the last week. So it's been incredible opportunities. It's been it's probably the most profitable most profitable weeks in my entire trading career as far as consistency. What I've realized is, I'm a very good volatility trader, and it's nice to be able to excel. It's unfortunate that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that is not good. People are refreshing their 401ks, and they're down 30% already this year. It's gone straight up. And the reality is that no matter what, the market's been going straight up for so long, it was due for a correction at some point, just a natural correction. But this is not a natural correction. So you've got not only the normal correction that you're supposed to have, but you've got the coronavirus, plus you've got the oil war going on now, and you've got all these other things that today with the 500 billion that they're trying to put into the market, and all the other things that they're trying to do to kind of help relieve the situation, including bringing the rates down 2 weeks ago or so. None of it's helping. And the best, the most strong market is obviously a natural one. And when you're putting in all these buffers, these things to try to help it, and it just nobody cares. It's not good. So, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you know where I've stood for quite some time now, as far as levels and as far as, I have zero intention of trying to find the bottom as far as investing, kind of starting maybe a portfolio, something like that. I've never had one just because I've never trusted the market. There's been times, there's been pullbacks that, it would have been nice. A flash crash, I think I started a little bit of a portfolio, and I think I held it for about a week, my long-term portfolio. But for the most part, I just never have trusted the market. And, sure, I'm jealous of the people that have had 401ks going straight up and whatnot, and all these other people that think they know what they're doing by investing and things like that. And just really got lucky with the bull market, and so we finally do have a pullback. Unfortunately, it's not just natural causes. There's a lot of other things that are influencing it, and we're gonna see how this pans out. As I've said on Twitter for weeks now, I don't really think that there's a rush to find the bottom. Things have pulled back so much that when they rebound, you're not going to miss the upside. It's not going to just be one day. There's going to be that reversal kind of pattern where it reverses, comes back, consolidates, and the same kind of things that we look for breakouts or breakout kind of charts. So I've always, I repeat myself all the time, but I'd rather be 50 cents, $1, $2 late than $1, $2, $5, $10 too early, right? It's very tough to have overnight positions right now. You don't know if you're going to be up, 1,000 points, down 1,000 points, up 2,000, down 2,000. I mean, these are insane ranges right now. And, a lot of people are going to go broke getting too aggressive, and a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. And hopefully you're on the a lot of money side. But for right now, I have zero complaints. Everything is good. The only thing that I've been doing is probably minimizing things. But for the most part, seeing the market clearly and just either joining trends, reacting to moves, sticking with sector trades. Sector trades we've talked about a lot. Right now, coronavirus sector trades, we kind of call them, where you've got, INO, CODX, NVAX, APT, AHPI. And a bunch of the others. I'm trying to think if there's any others that I'm missing. Well, obviously there's a ton, but those are the main ones. I personally try to focus on volume, momentum, action. I don't want to get stuck in the low volume crap, because that's when people get in trouble. We had OPK the other day, so there's a very solid edge in those styles of trades. But when you're trying to pick bottoms on stuff that we've never seen before, Boeing today, ramps up and then straight sell. If you actually looked at everything that happened after the market bounced today, it was straight liquidation, including the cruise lines, looking at the market itself, looking at Boeing, like I talked about. I think even Apple, same thing. I mean, literally everything just straight sell. After government tried to, kind of boost confidence and try to fix this problem. And look, things have gone straight up. It's going to take a while. And the one thing that I've been tweeting out for weeks now is that, in my opinion, and I'm not an investment advisor. I don't do long-term investing. I'm only a day trader. But in my opinion, I don't see why there's a rush to get involved. And I think we'll have a great buy opportunity potentially after the election, after this all calms down. Yeah, we'll probably have a rebound if we get a vaccine of some sort. But we don't know if that's going to be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Who knows? So in my opinion, maybe after the election, we get a little bit of a bump if people get excited again. And then I think there's going to be some type of shakeout. Because if the obvious thing is to reverse after the election and then everybody does that, I want to buy that next pullback where everybody didn't really have that factored in. They kind of repositioned, everything's good. But in my opinion, you need that one last shakeout, get everybody out, and then at that point, I might start to look at things. And, the valuations were crazy. And look, I'm not here to say, told you so or anything like that. I'm not doing that at all. I've never done that. Won't do that. All I'm saying is valuations were crazy. So it's kind of, we're starting to kind of see what real value is potentially. And, a lot of these companies are not set to not have business for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, right? So if you just kind of shut the doors for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, we might see a lot of zeros. We might see a lot of bankrupt companies. We might have to have a lot of bailouts. A lot of these companies have all done buybacks at the highs. We always talk about, Apple having like this huge cash on hand. But it's times like these that they're going to be able to make it through. Yeah, it's going to suck. Yeah, they're going to pull back. Yeah, it's not going to be good for a bit, but they're going to make it out. Whereas, you've got all these other companies. I think it was one of the cruise lines. I forget which one, but buying back stock at the highs, there's no reason to, except if you want to get, CEO bonuses, things like that, get to certain market caps, get to certain prices, all that kind of stuff. So, with that said, all that cash is, they already bought it back. They already bought shares that are now, 50, 60, 70% less. So I think that we're going to be in a tough spot for a while. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. We're going to have different relief rallies. The market is extremely thin to the upside for sure. So, if you think about it, there's not really a lot of short sellers, right? Everybody's long biased. There's so many ETFs. There's so many mutual funds. There's so many things that just kind of soak shares. And, the only sellers have always been, shorts. And then we get this nice steady squeeze for years and years and years. And, I was afraid of the market in 2010, 12, 15, 18, So, I missed out on a lot of the upside as a quote unquote investor, but that's okay. That's okay with me because that's just not what I do. So anyway, point is just be cautious trying to be like, oh, it's, just buy the dip. I don't think there's any rush to do it. And I think that, you got to stay safe out there. Things that you don't think can take another haircut, they can. And they've already done that, in the week. 2 weeks ago, stocks maybe pull back 20, 30%, sometimes 40. And guess what? They pulled back another 30, 40% this week. So they can pull back. And cheap is not always, cheaper is not always cheap. A lot of these companies are highly leveraged, and they're going to have trouble. There's going to be big issues. So I gave some examples this morning in the room of things that caught people by surprise, and GTAT. It became GTATQ, but basically a stock that was like 18, 14, and then 80 cents. So you've got to be really careful, because there is definitely going to be, I would say, at least a handful, if not a dozen companies that just don't make it out of this. And it's terrible. It sucks, but it's just part of business. And if you're going to over leverage and grow your business at a ridiculous rate, that's great when it works. But if you don't have the right checks and balances, protocols in place, when shit hits the fan, and you're not capitalized, or the line of credit's not there, or whatever may happen, it's again, you may not make it out. So same thing applies with trading. When you're trading margin here and things like that, you need to take those kind of things into consideration. You're buying airlines, and it goes from 40 to 20. You're like, it can't go that much lower, and then it's 13 today. These things can keep on fading. They can keep on unwinding. So I think that RCL, I'll give you an example today. I had a position on. I had a day trade on. So we'll switch over. I'll show you this move over here. But I had a day trade on RCL. And just to kind of give you an idea of how thin things are, I had a trade going on RCL, like I said, and I basically was buying the breakout / dips this morning, and it never really turned into anything. So I went ahead and kind of moved on. But I ended up trading, and let me just get it here, RCL. You can see here, RCL, I ended up selling it mostly at 39, 39.20, 39.09, right? Now, look at what happened. That was right here, 39.09, pretty much the top. And so it ramped up into a circuit halt, and it opened up, and that was it, and pulled back. This is an example of just how thin the market is right now, right? So we went from 33 to 39, $6 in a matter of minutes. And, you look at it, you look at the chart, and you're like, it was just $130. Maybe it keeps on going. Maybe it goes 40, 45, 50. We don't do that in this market. If you nail a fast move like that, you have to be locking in. No questions asked. Lock in along the way. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Same thing, OXY. This was one today. I got long. Kind of flushed out, and I was like, maybe I'll move on. I started to get long again, sold some out. Sold it all out, and then we got a nice gap open once again. You can see exactly how thin the market is, where it's literally $10 all the way up to 1470s. I shorted at 1481 on the gap open. I told the room that I was interested in shorting on the gap open, and immediately 1481 down to 1330s, down to 1280s, $2 in a matter of couple minutes. And so the markets are going to continue to be thin like this. Your edge as an active trader is to be able to be ready in that spread. If you take too much time to think, if you are overstaying, if you are kind of thinking, I'll just wait to see what happens, see how it pans out, that's what everybody's doing. You need to be one step ahead before they have the thought process to do so. If you are waiting for that turn, it's going to be too late. So just make sure that when you are trading these things, you're on the offensive, right? So I talk a lot about wish orders, having an order out there. Where would you like to fill? If this worked out in the manner that you think, where would you like to fill? And so in this case, I'd love for it to slam $1 and potentially, if it was crash under 13, maybe 1280s. So I want to be there. Because in the event that it went flushed out, came right back up, I would have filled. And we saw that on CODX yesterday. And CODX was another one that, CODX was another one that loves to come back and loves to take you for a ride. And so, for example, the CODX right over here, if you weren't covering yesterday on these pullbacks, rebounds, pullbacks, rebounds, then you were going to get, you're screwed. You weren't able to get out, and that's it. Same thing here. If you did not cover into the flush, guess what? $1.50 higher. So be cautious, be aware of that. And that was pretty much my goal today. Is there's no time to think about what it could be like if you nailed it. It would be nice to be patient, let it unwind all day. Yeah, it went lower, and yeah, I missed out on a buck. But you know what? That's fine, because I was focused on other things at that time, and it is what it is. My main goal was not to try to find the top, just to start to get in there, scale into the trade as it progressed, and then just make sure that I was covering along the way. So that's exactly what I did. Pretty much got in there 15, 1650s, basically 1550s, 1650s, and covered into the 1460s, 1380s, all the way down to the 1250s. That's $4 a share. So again, I was even thinking about it yesterday with AYTU. That was another short. This morning was fantastic. I also shorted this in E-Trade, but once again, I mean, it's not every day you get two 10s down to 140s in 2 minutes, and they actually filled 2 days in a row very nicely with SSR on. There was a lot of buyers in the tape, so it was great. Usually you don't fill anything, but you were able to. So with that said, got to be ready, got to be prepared, because you never know. Like, what if it swipes back up? And had I not covered there, had I not done that, I would have been pretty annoyed with it. So overall, fantastic trade. Really happy with the way that trade progressed today. There was a couple others. AHPI, just kind of joining the slow trend. My goal is just to kind of join trades that people forget about. And that's all I did. And if I wasn't here into the washout, I wouldn't have got those fills. And it would have gone right back up, but buck higher. So it's always good to pay yourself along the way. Always good to be present with whatever you're trading. SPCB, this was a PR trade. I got in right before the first halt, right on the PR. Knowing what type of market you're in, right? Coronavirus PR comes out. You know what? If you're one of the first people in, great. Because people just read the headline right now. They don't care what it says. They could be offering like free chocolates to anybody that has coronavirus, and they'll just put that in the headline, and a bunch of people will buy, and it'll be up 100%. The point being is that right now you have to know what type of market you're in, and we've talked about this on Sunday Scans, and everybody is all about any stocks that mention coronavirus. So went ahead and sold into this. Basically got a double out of it on about half the size, but basically 62s. I added at 72s, and I sold out as high as 137. So that was great. Nice reactive trade today. VIX was great. VIX was my trade of choice today for the market. TVIX I have not been trading because, in the past, you've got to learn from your mistakes in the past. And as I've said, I just don't trust myself with TVIX. It's very easy to get short a couple thousand shares, and all of a sudden you're down, 10 points, 20 points, 30 points. It's very easy to get in trouble on TVIX. So rather than get in trouble, I just don't trade it. Once it gets into that crazy range. I was trading it when it was 70, 80, 90 bucks, but after that, I'm all set. So I know my weaknesses, and I don't want to get in a situation where I overstay on something. So at any rate, today was ridiculous in the room. Ridiculous opportunities. Right at about, let me find it here. Let's see. I think it was right at right here, 12.12, and basically prepared for a big catch here on SPY. Feel like we'll have a huge kind of nervous flush out, and then trap everybody and turn it very quickly. And I was going to prepare for that and trade it accordingly. So that was at 12.15, and so that was right here at literally the the dead bottom. literally the dead bottom candle on the pullback. And then, so it ramped up right away. So that was great. It gave an opportunity to take some money off the table. But it came back, and then, as I said in the room, the key levels that I was watching was the 251.60 to 252. So we wanted to come back, retest, and start to base. And once it started to base over that 251.60s and reclaim 252, in my opinion, I figured it was game on. And as I said in the room, that I said, I can see a crazy squeeze into the close, and that's what I'm playing for until it doesn't work. Given the entry and the read on the market there at the low, I'm letting it work until it doesn't. And so that was at 12.53. And so, here we go. We start to squeeze, and it just absolutely goes nuts. So, I had my feelers out there. I had some dabbles, but for the most part, I was shorting into the 46.40s, 46.50s, 46.50s, 46.90s. And I covered some into the 40 for basically a quick buck, rescaled, covered some all the way down here, and then I was done with the trade. So fantastic opportunity. And once again, I know my weaknesses, right? Where, I started in a little bit and I said, what the hell am I doing? And I said, I'm going to leave it alone the rest of the day. And it's a good thing I did. You never know where it's going to go. And you can have all the stops in the world and you can have your plans, but if you get too aggressive too soon, that's when you get in trouble. So that was that. AYTU we went over, APT, HPI, TWT, nice reactive trade. I was just joining the trend, and then I think a headline hit, so I kind of realized that it was a headline of some sort. It wasn't natural. So it flushed out, so I just reacted and I just got out because I don't want to be involved in a snapback. So yeah, VIX was the big one. INO was great. Perfect trade today. I traded this in. Now we're over by 7. They had earnings tonight, so. But I was thinking about holding this over short. It wasn't really crazy risk, and in hindsight, obviously it's always easier, but. So I traded this in E-Trade as well, and I had a really nice trade there. Basically shorted 10s this morning and covered around 930, 940s on that. But, as you can see, a lot of people try to scale into the weakness and try to anticipate the breakdown, and they have FOMO. They don't want to miss it. But you can see, and this is the same thing I told the room, you don't want to be hammering into the low end of the channel, right? There's a channel here, basically 920s to about 980s. So any push through that channel, I'm interested. And you can see that I was there at 10 to 1020s. I told the room that 10 to 1020s was the exhaustion spot for me that I'd like to react to. So small scalps in this account, but I did the big picture trade in E-Trade. Other than that, did a little Mark Cuban trade, just a small LYV trade there. And I think that was the majority of the trades today. Oh, yeah, I went over RCL, a few others. There was another couple nice opportunities. SNT, or SINT, after hours went nuts on a patent. But again, don't try to be a hero in this market. And, I can have a great day, yesterday, the day before, today. But all that matters is tomorrow. And, you can lose it just as fast if you start getting too aggressive. If you try to force that trade, every morning when I start the broadcast, in the morning around 9 a.m., sometimes we do it like 8:50 a.m. now just because I want to be able to get into the zone. But I get on the microphone and I talk to the room. But, you either have your A-plus setups or you don't. And so typically, I put out my top 3 watches, basically. So, you see my scans, and I try to condense it down to my 3 focus names. 2 or 3, maybe 4 max. But there are days that it might be just a scanner day. And, these are the ones I want to see. I want to at least see it once. So I go through rapid fire, check out the charts just so they're in my head. And then that way, if and when they come on scan, I can react quicker. But you got to know the difference between an A+ setup day and hands off, wait for the setup day. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with tonight is, and the point with AYTU is, I was realizing yesterday when I had shorted, where was it? I guess it was this. Yeah, this move right over here. Just this move alone, and I think I was scaling down, and I think I had like the last 1,000 shares or something like that. And the unrealized gain, because I had a 280 average. I posted the trade yesterday, but unrealized gain of I think it was $900 or whatever. But it was 1,000 shares. So the point here, and it was kind of like not necessarily an aha moment, but it reminded me to pass that along. Was that's a huge gain for a lot of new traders, and we all want to try to get in something with size. We want to get that big score, but if you just take a step back, put the brakes on, and think about your size, especially in this market, and the fact that I held that for $1 a share, it doesn't take much. 300 shares, 500 shares, 1,000 shares, it's a big gain. So watch yourself with trying to be too aggressive, because a lot of times, even I&O, you end up sizing in too much, or CODX, you size in too much, and it's not about whether or not you're going to be right or wrong. It's, well, there goes that opportunity because I screwed myself, because I got too aggressive too soon, and now I have to respect my risk. So if you are trade a little bit smaller, and you can always scale into the winner, but you'd be really amazed at what you can do with less, especially in this market. So same thing with our RCL, a $9 move, a $9 move back. And also when it's smaller size, you don't have to, you're not going to be having the emotional attachment, but also if you're wrong, it's not going to sting, right? So again, always think about what you're doing. I know another comment there. Some of the guys were talking about it in the more I talk, the lower it goes too. But a lot of the guys were talking about kind of trying to figure out which way it was going to go here. They had a trade on, and I'm like, there's no edge if it's stuck between this range. So keep in mind that when you're trading, and if you're trying to guess which way it's going to go off of VWAP, what's your edge? So it's okay if you're in small, but if you're in your position and you're kind of guessing which way it's going to go, it's not a good trade. So I think that's about it. Friday the 13th tomorrow. It's going to be a crazy day. Like I said, we had two market halts this week. I think we might have a decent gap up tomorrow, but honestly, who knows? We've got a lot of margin selling, I'm sure. There's a lot of leveraged accounts, a lot of leveraged people. That's the problem when you go on leverage, and if you're maxed out, 2-to-1 or on it, or 4-to-1, and something goes down 25%, you're done, you're toast. So that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and that was a little bit of a recap today. I figured, went to dinner a little bit earlier. I came back to shut down the computer. My programmer asked me if I was going to do a video tonight, and I haven't answered him yet, but I'll just tell him yes, here it is, and hopefully he gets it out there quickly for you guys. So as usual, leave a comment if you guys have any questions. Reach out. Look forward to seeing you guys in the room. I was nervous that maybe we're going to lose a lot of traders in in this market, but I mean it's just been incredible. So I'm getting a ton of PMs, a ton of feedback, some of the best trading days that they've ever had in their careers. So that's exciting to me. And also just knowing what to warn on over and over. I've been there, I've done that, and being able to keep the room, the guys, ladies, out of trouble is half the battle. So as you guys know, we're not a buy now, sell now. We're not here to tell you what to buy and what to sell, but we're here for great ideas, and we're here to keep you guys safe. So once again, if you guys have any questions at all, use the comment section below, and look forward to responding.